So the federal government is getting something of a report card tomorrow from Canada's Auditor General. It looks at the federal action in almost a dozen areas of concern. With more on the story, we're joined by the CBC's Hannah Thibodeau in Ottawa. We love Auditor General's reports, Hannah, because it's so much fun going through the fine print. There are always horror stories. What exactly are we expecting to be flagged this year?
Absolutely. You get details finally into how the government is working. Now, this report will be released on Tuesday by Auditor General Michael Ferguson. It has 11 chapters, and here are a few that really stand out for me. One of the chapters deals with creating an historical record for the residential schools. Now, this is something that they've been trying to do for quite some time. This chapter looked at whether Aboriginal Affairs and Library and Archives Canada has taken the adequate steps to provide the proper information to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and so that would be relevant documents also, so they can create a history as to what happened, and this is part of the mandate. So that's one chapter that I think will be really interesting to take a look at, to see if they've actually provided those documents to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Another one that I'm going to keep an eye on is spending on public security and anti-terrorism after September 11th, so 2001 onward. This is looking at the funds that were spent in 2001 and were they spent properly. So that's something else to keep an eye on. And then finally, a chapter on employment insurance overpayments. And we've seen a lot of this in the news over the past little bit. The government sent out auditors door to door to check on people to see if they were actually getting overpayments. So this chapter will take a close look on those overpayments, and we'll see if that actually is something of a problem here in Canada, if there are a lot of those overpayments and the government is correct in its numbers, because the numbers that the government had thrown out there were a lot of different numbers.
Okay, so that is Tuesday. Let's talk about Monday, because that's when the government is tabling finally the budget implementation bill. We all remember the omnibus versions of past budgets. So what are we looking at here?
Well, this is a follow-up to the budget in March. They're implementation bills. Last time there were 2 budget implementation bills. The last one was 457 pages. That's a very long bill. I meant to bring it up here with me to show you, because it's so thick. In the last implementation bill, it made changes to 64 different acts and regulations. Also, in the first budget implementation bill, it made substantial changes to the environmental changes, as well as the Navigable Waters Act, the Fisheries Act, and also the Indian Act. And those are just some examples. And the opposition were furious about this, saying that that was never mentioned in the budget. So we asked Government House Leader Peter Van Loan if there would be those type of changes in this implementation bill. Take a listen.
Like all our budget implementation bills, this one will implement the budget, Economic Action Plan 2013, which creates jobs, economic growth, and continues Canada's enviable international position compared to other economies in a challenged global environment.
The government always says, no, there aren't going to be significant changes, so we'll have to wait and see when that budget implementation bill comes out. Actually, I love reading them.
Well, you need professional help, but what can I say? We're delighted that you love reading them, because the details, it's always in the details, so look forward to it. Thanks, Hannah.
Quite welcome.
Hannah Thibodeau in Ottawa.